spend many hours in there, just drawing or reading or just sitting there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tom?
Actually, my first ever memory. I was a child, and I had bone problems. So many of my childhood I spent in a hospital till I was about 4 or 5. So the first thing I can remember is when they cut off my plaster, which was they give me operations on my leg, and they cut off the plaster, and I remember the sensation of the blade touching my skin and stopping, and it almost shocked me into my life. So this is my first memory.
Sahar?
I remember that in the house that now we are living with Tom in Kalkan, like maybe when I was 10 or 8 years, 8 years old. I was like my best friend was the cat, and we were going like to cousin, like a walk and discover the nature with the cat, looking at the insects, and it was a really good memory.
Wow. I understand that my best friend is a cat. We walk together in mountains.
Yeah,
Wow, that's great. Roxolana?
support each other.
My first memories is about snakes.
Snakes?
Uh,
Wow.
It was me.
Daha da yazmayayım.
When I was maybe 4 years child, I remember one morning when my father, I was sleeping and my father touched me and get up, I show you. And after he put me in, she put me in a hand, and we went to second garden in my grandma garden, and he showed me little snacks like maybe 10 centimeters, and it was very nice. But my mom made very big incident with my father after that, because a few days after I found these little snacks in a grow and touch it, and after that yeah, my mother was crazy.
Yeah, that's, I can see. Alp?
Was they poisonous or not?
Huh?
Were they poisonous?
I don't know.
Wrestling.
Sorry, maybe later.
Alp?
When I was 5, my father gave me raki. I drank it, and I don't remember after that.
So you started drinking at the tender age?
No, earlier they were giving me beer, but I don't remember that part.
Okay.
And Yeni?
Yeah, I don't know if any of you remember when you started working. Like when I was a child, I was very ill. Up to the time my mom was about to have my junior brother, I was so sick, and then they advised my mom to pass me to grandma so she can have time to look after the new baby. And when I was living with my grandma, because I could not walk, she had to do everything for me. And I remember one night, I called her that I want to use toilet because she was so obsessed, so doing everything for me. She said, please don't stop bothering me. If you want to use toilet, do it yourself. So, and I cannot walk. I remember I just rolled to the wall to make myself stood up, and I was just touching the wall till I get to the toilet. So by the time I come back, I started walking. So everybody from my house came back. I mean, they were jubilating. They throw coins front for me to run and collect it. Those are my memories.
Well, when I was 5 or 6, I heard the word dinosaur from somewhere, and I didn't know what kind of animal it was. So I asked my father, and he brought me a small encyclopedia for children with many pictures, and he showed me possibly Tyrex, the most violent one. And I was so scared when I saw that animal. And he put it on my bookshelf. At that night, I couldn't sleep at all. I was so scared of the book itself. I thought the image is in the book. For like after
Gerizekalı.
1 or 2 sleepless nights, and finally, in the morning, like I was shaking, and I got the book and threw out of the window.
This is great. Orhan,
Yes,
and you?
I remember everything.
Oh,
About 50 years ago.
It's been a long time. Huh?
How many?
Half a century.
okay.
19th, in the end of the 19th century.
Half century, how I can remember.
Victorian period.
Thank you
Late
all very
Victorian.
much for the sharing, and for me also childhood is the place where you should feel very safe, like really very safe, where you can trust and where you can be vulnerable. And it happened that in my childhood I missed all those things. That they were definitely not enough for me. Not enough safety, not enough trust, not enough love. But when I grew up, I started to find my ways to get back to that, because nobody will replace me the bad memories with the good memories. Nobody will change anything that was in the past, but I can change what is in the present, what I have today. And I started to look for the ways I can go back and feel myself safe, where I can be vulnerable, where I can show all I have in my heart, and where I can trust. I can trust myself at first. And when I was a child, I grew up in a family of engineers, physicians, and nobody was connected to art in any way. But my class teacher was an art teacher. And once she came to the home of my family and she said, "Come on, this girl should go to the art school. She has talent, she has to draw." And my parents get like the family concilium, and they decided, no, you will go to the English teacher, because only the English translators can earn money, that artists don't earn money. So I went to the School of English, and after that I started to study at the University of Applied Linguistics, and I became I had a diploma of English Ukrainian translator. That's it. I worked many years for this, and I worked for IT departments, for software development companies. I was very qualified copywriter, but once it turned to me that I'm not happy. I'm not happy at all, that something is missing. I was thinking all the time what I can do with my hands. I wanted something that I could use my hands to connect with the ground, with the bodily things, with embodiment of something. I wanted to make something that I can show as a result. I made it with my hands, not just to type something and write a text. And I quit the job and I went on traveling. I went to India, Nepal, whatever, all the countries. I went to different monasteries, shamans all over. I wanted to find the answers to the questions I had inside. But when I came back, it turned to me that nobody, third parties will not give me any answers. All the answers I can fetch only from inside of myself. And then the question to me was, how can I derive that inner knowledge from myself, and what activity I can use for it? And it all started in 2012. I was a guest of one very famous Ukrainian painter, Max Vitek. We were sitting in his cottage house in the village. It was a very beautiful house. It has a fireplace. We were sitting near the fireplace drinking wine, and it was the family and several other painters, artists. And once that Max asked me, "Olena, have you ever tried painting?" I said, no, I cannot, I don't even know how to draw a circle or a square. And then he said to me, okay, we are going away for a week, and for a week you stay in our house and you use my workshop. You can go to my studio and use everything, all the canvases, all the paints, everything is yours. And so I accepted this challenge, and this was my very first painting I made. The name is "The Yogi is Meditating, and so does his cat." And at that time I didn't have a cat, but my cat looked exactly the same as at this picture. So this is not a menstruation, as Roxolana said. This is the energy from heaven coming into this lotus chakra, and the energy from the ground coming to that chakra. All chakras have the colors. Here is this aroma stick, and this is the thing from Tibet, which monks are rotating for the prayer, and they are reciting the mantras Om Namah Shivaya and Om Mani Padme Hum. And this painting is 2 meters per 2 meters. It's enormous. I never exhibited it because I'm feeling very shy about it. Actually, this was the start, and in that week I understood that I really like painting more than anything else. And slowly it started. I made for first maybe 1 or 2 paintings in a year. And in 2016 I had my very first exhibition, Journey for the Inner Light, and my friend painter, she invited me to join 3 other artists and exhibit my works. These are very first works, and I remember when the day before the exhibition we prepared everything, installed the exhibition. I came home and I was crying the whole evening. My boyfriend asked me, "Why are you crying? What happened? Everything is fine, you're ready." And I said, "I will have a shame for the rest of my life because I invited everybody for that exhibition and everybody will see what the shit I'm doing." But after that exhibition I had so many positive feedbacks that I understood that I have to move on, I have to move forward. This exhibition was like a very first step for me to create more. There is a very short video. After that I was invited in the next year to the big festival of contemporary art, New Wave exhibition, and there I exhibited 2 of the works, and actually all of my works have narratives. They come along with them, like short stories, and the curator of the exhibition advised me to draw the story on right in front, right near the painting, so the people can read, and it really worked very good.
Can you share the stories?
Yes, I will. This will be the next part of my presentation. We will speak a little bit about the works.
Kaufman.
No.
Yes.
No? Yes, Kaufman.
Yes, this is Kaufman.
Come on, man. It's
Yeah.
Kaufman.
Yes. We live in one city.
Yes. You know that Kaufman has the son of my cat at home. So we are maybe kind of relatives with him.
What? Your cat is Kaufman?
No, my cat had the babies, and one of the babies Kaufman has at home.
So they're relatives.
Yeah, we are.
Same surname.
Yeah,
Kaufman is Jewish, but right?
I don't know. Actually, I don't care. The next exhibition was a very big one. It was International Paragiano Festival in Lviv. It goes right here now, and my artwork are exhibited without me. And it was first time that I exhibited 8 big artworks for the public.
Parajanov.
Yeah, it's like a film director.
He's Armenian.
Yes.
Yes, I love
Parajanov?
his movies.
Yes.
after that I understood that I derive so much pleasure from talking about what I love to do that it's absolutely good. And the next was this March, Lviv Art Days. That was really very good and fashionable exhibition, and I'm very happy that I took part in it. I presented two of my biggest artworks there.
They're really big.
Yeah, they're really big, like 180 per 130 meters.
Ці ж мисткині творять насамперед заради власного задоволення, адже процес роботи для них справжня арт-терапія.
В якийсь момент я зрозуміла, що це дуже подобається мені це робити. Дуже подобається. Дуже подобається момент, саме відчуття, що ти можеш передати, матеріалізувати те, що в тебе десь дуже глибоко всередині є. От на цих двох картинах це відчуття спокою і вправ.
Space really very
Up
good.
floor,
And
Upper floor,
top floor.
top floor.
Yes, and after that exhibition, everything started because I was walking around the exhibition, looking how other artists presented themselves, and I found that I had a vast amount of work before me. And then I started to investigate this art community, art everything, and I started to find different possibilities. And the next thing that came around was the big exhibition on my area protection was held by the Union of Artists of Ukraine in the city Dniprodzerzhinsk. This is near Dnipropetrovsk, and this was a museum of history. And then I had a dream to participate in the art residence, and I was sending many applications, and always I get rejected. But once they said this, I went to Nazar Wojtowicz Art Residency, where the curator is Luda Nechai, and also there works Sasha Pavlovska, Orhan knows them, Yoalp also. They are very nice people, and so they invited me. We had a residency for 2 weeks, and that's what I created. And we had after the exhibition narrative about freedom. It was lasted in Zbarash Castle. And after that, that was a plein air silver land art. It was held in Carpathian Mountains. So after the Sliver days, everything started. So I spent very little time at home actually, just going somewhere and producing. And this is a Parajanov festival, how it looks now without me. I'm not very satisfied with how my works are presented, but still, if you want to do something good, do it yourself. So I just left the artworks to them and said, come on guys, I'm going to the Helicon Art Center for a month almost, so do something. So that's how they do it. And now I would like to speak about the paintings, and this is the most important part. We will start about the most recent paintings, and this one is called The Garden, and this was maybe third my painting or fourth from the very beginning. And it's all the artworks have symbols behind the image. For example, here this deer is deep under the ground, and the ground is red. That means the red means the blood, but not the blood when you cut somebody or kill somebody. It's a blood like in the womb of the mother, where the child grows, like a fertile, like nutrient. And this ground is really nutritious for the deer, and the deer is waiting for the kind of transformation. And now the transformation is almost over, because the grains started to get out of the ground, and also the horns of the deer started to produce leaves, so he is almost ready. His transformation almost ended. And this was actually the second my work. Its name is The God, and this is a tree, and the tree has an eye and an apple. Every apple on the tree has also an eye. This means that when we assume that there is a God, so the God is a big eye and we are all small eyes, like the same as the source. and this is very funny, very funny. I love this painting. This calls the fire dragon flew to the forest mushroom. The forest mushroom, here it is. It stands in the forest, and when the winter came, the mushroom began to feel cold, and his friend fire dragon came to warm him up. And that means that always we have people who support us. Always there is something or somebody who will not left us alone. We always have friends, and these connections between people are really it's the most important thing we have in life. And this painting I made just after the 10-day Vipassana course. I went clear like a newborn child. I was 10 days meditating in complete silence for 10 days, 10 hours a day. And after that, this painting is, this is the dishes with milk. And that seems that at this time we have very plenty of resources, we have plenty of energy, we have plenty of chances we can use, plenty of possibilities, plenty of everything. This time we are living in right now, these years, I mean, that actually only now the person can do everything he or she wants. We have all the possibilities.
Can you just stop 1 minute? I read that like a description that you sun comes out from the mountains and water to make the problem.
Is there a perspective problem here, or did you make on purpose?
I made it on purpose.
Okay.
I made it on purpose, and this I try to simplify the picture as much as possible to make it very childish. There was one Ukrainian philosopher, Grigory Skovoroda. I admire him a lot, and he once said that we humans are very lucky that God made all the complex things unnecessary, and all the necessary things are very simple. And he also said that it's very hard to be simple. To be simple, first you have to become really very complex. So I try to put very complex things into very simple shapes. And I think that in this way I can easily convey the meanings and the things I want the observer see just directly into their heart or into their mind. And this picture has a story. I was living for 3 months in Dahab. This is like downshifting area in Egypt. And we were living like in a small community of Ukrainians because a group of friends went there, and we rented some apartments close, and we were sitting with our friend Dima Kolomoytsov. He is a very good artist from Kiev. And once he stood up and painted on the wall the spiral, and he wrote an inexhaustible source of inexhaustible sources. I said, oh Dima, come on, can I make a painting out of this? Because I like the notion an inexhaustible source is something that never ends. And an inexhaustible source of inexhaustible sources, there is something where all the inexhaustible sources come from, like an origin. And I like this concept very much, and I decided to paint it. It came about 2 years for me to develop this concept, and this is the boat with the blood, also like a nutrition substance, and the tree grow also out of this, and there is a chalice, like a holy grail with an eye, and from it all the inexhaustible sources come from. And these birds are from Iranian fairy tales, and they come for the balance, so this boat doesn't fall into the sea. And this painting is called Safety, and it has actually 2 meanings. The first meaning as the house is protected. I wanted in this painting to convey the feeling of safety. Sometimes I lack this feeling in my life, and I wanted to, like the people who see this painting, to feel very safe. Because the house is protected by the tree, also it's protected by the tree roots, it's protected by 2 moons, and the moons are now sleeping because they look far above the mountains, and now everything is fine. No foreigners, no strangers, no enemies, and they sleep. And there are another protectors like mythical creatures. They also protect and they never sleep. And the other meaning is very woman meaning. This lake with the blood, with the boat inside is the womb, and the boat is a baby. And this creatures are ovaries and the moons are nipples. And this painting actually is one of my favorites. I hang it at my house. I don't want to sell it. A lot of time people wanted to buy it, but I don't want, because it was a representation of very happy night. I was in Carpathian Mountains. We put up a tent near the river and prepared dinner. It was a very beautiful evening, and once in a while a lot of these insects who make lights, I don't know. Fireflies, yeah, a lot of fireflies came out, and we were like in a fairy tale. And it seemed to me that a big white dog follows me all the time in the forest at night, but actually there wasn't any dog. And I imagined that this is a spirit of the forest who came to me to protect me and just to say hello, I'm here, I know that you are here, and I'm glad to receive you in my forest. And I decided just to depict it. This painting, the abundance of God erupts through the gift. Also, I wanted to present just a concept where everything is fine and you don't have to worry about. Once I suffered from severe panic attacks, and I lacked this feeling of everything is fine. I have nothing to worry about, and I decided to make this very calm painting. This big angel, I didn't want to make it very Christian-like, so I painted it from a small Buddha statue I brought from Nepal. And here in the house, somebody is living here, and they have a garden, and everything is fine. The garden is very neat. They grow some plants there, some cabbage, or I don't know. They have fire inside, and the angel is the big good power that sits near this mountain and looks. And now the angel sleeps because the angel has nothing to worry about. Everything is fine with the person. And this painting is called The Encounter. The big white bear and a big white horse. They are in the morning in forest, and this is a very, very morning, the dawn. The snow goes, and this painting shows the very first sight at each other. They just encountered each other, they just looked at each other, and they don't know if they are enemies or friends, nothing, they don't know. This is just the first look.
They seem friendly.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
Actually,
very
yes.
friendly.
And this painting is called If We Are Very Quiet and Very Transparent. And I wanted to show when you are happy with your partner and how good it may be when the woman is praying and the man is protecting, and how good it is when the roles between man and woman are in the right position, because we are different, and of course we are equal in our rights, in our everything, in our abilities, but we have different purposes, different things we can do in life, and it's such a nice feeling when you can be protected by a man. It's very comfortable and very, I think you understood what I meant by this painting. And this painting is called Nomad, and here I wanted to show the confusion. The person is naked. That means that everybody knows and sees the feelings of the person, that the person is really confused and felt like disturbed, and the person is in a very bad state now, in a very bad condition, because the person closes the face. He or she doesn't know anybody to see what they feel inside, but there is in every person there is a kind of spirit, a kind of spirit for freedom that comes over when you feel that you don't have enough power to struggle more, or you cannot overcome some difficult situation in your life. You still can. You still have this power to do everything. And this ego, this red ego, shows that this power is inside, even if you think that you are naked and you close your face with shame. That's not meant.
Just thank you for that piece.
You're welcome. And this piece is called The Word, Life-Giving and Wonder-Working. And I would like to read a quotation from one book. I was reading a book. I strongly recommend you to read also. This is called The Sea, the Ocean, and the author is Alessandro Barico. It's really very, very good book. It resembles Milorad Pavic or Gabriel Garcia Marquez or Bruno Schulz sometimes. It's a very good piece of literature. In a word, as you can see, it's not a mess in my head. On the contrary, entire clarity, but only to a certain extent. The question is familiar to me, but I have no answer to it. My carriage keeps going on, but I don't know where. When on occasion I start thinking about the answer, my conscience cowers in the gloom, and I take this gloom and place it into your hands. And I ask you, the grateful God, to keep it by yourself, only for an hour, to keep it in your hands, only to fade away the gloom, to fade away the evil that brings so much darkness into my head and so much blackness into my soul. Could you? And this, wow, wow, so somebody hears us, and the man has a problem. Here is some blurry, but his face really shows that he has a huge problems, and he decided to take his whole...
This is presentation
Yes.
or performance, right?
Yes. Oh, scary.
It doesn't hurt, don't worry.
Yeah, better not to do
No,
that.
but it's
No,
scary.
no.
Okay, go.
Don't worry, don't worry.
God, go.
Big motherfucking deal.
Yes.
Don't
Yes.
worry, don't,
And so this...
don't worry. Gelse kaçarım ama.
Yeah, he went to the ear first.
There you go.
I'll take it.
Yeah, and it was a quite proportionally okay yani with that ear.
Yes. So the man came out of the city to pray for the God, and the God actually is listening to him.
Gossip girl.
Yes. And this painting is David the psalm writer. David has a candle, and he with his boat going somewhere through the night in the lake. And he has some path he has to go, but he doesn't know where. He sees only the small part which is lightened by his candle. And he doesn't even know that there is a very enormous big fish just right under his boat. And this this means the intention of our lives, that sometimes we have some events, we know that we go somewhere, we know that we have to do this and that, and we don't know the purpose. And then when the years come, we look back and we see, oh, that was necessary for that, and that was for that, and we see this very beautiful path we made in our life. Like some events that may seem bad in the beginning, they turned out to some very, very life-changing things. This is a moving home piece, and there is a castle, and once the castle decided to move, the whole castle, with all the buildings, with everything, it decided to move to another shore of the sea, to another bank of the sea. And then they put all the castle in the boat, and it went on the sea, and it started storming on the sea. And then the good power came with a big hand and carried it through the stormy sea, so this castle is not drowned and everybody are safe. And this piece was made in the Nazar Vojtovic Art Residency. Actually, this was a very interesting piece because we lived, the community, the residency, Nazar Vojtovic is dedicated to one of the heroes of the Heavenly Hundred. These 100 people which were killed in Ukrainian Maidan, maybe you know about that. And Nazar Vojtovic was the youngest one. He was only 17. And this is a symbol of the man who protects his own country, and he was killed. And when I came to the residency, I imagined we had the theme of the residency was responsibility and freedom. And when I was reflecting on the theme, the image of the very big swine appeared to me, who got lost in the corn. And actually, it's very easy for the swine to get over this corn, just to damage it and go, but it cannot. The same as a person. The person is sometimes lost in these connections of relatives, different social occasions, so the person cannot get out of this field of corn and do something for their dreams. And also when I was making this painting, the father of Nazar Vojtovic came to us. He was visiting us every day, and he said, "Oh, this is the swine in the corn, how beautiful it is. A year ago I went hunting, and I went into the field of corn, and I shoot the big swine. So, and it was a connection, like he shoot this big swine, and his son was also shoot. And this painting also I made in this residency, because when we arrived there on the first day, we went directly to the cemetery where Nazar Vojtovich's body lies now. And there was like a mass with priests and all the people from the village here. And I was standing very close to the mother of Nazar Vojtovich. And while all the people were there just because they had to be there socially, just standing and waiting when the mass ends, the mother was crying all the time, and her tears, they went deeply into my heart, and I wanted to show this. This is a chair, empty chair, has below the red boots. This is the boots of the soldier who doesn't come back home from the war, and they are filled with blood. And in this village, Travneva, where was the residency, there were a lot of duck, really a lot of, they were everywhere. And the duck became to me the symbol of feminine, of woman, of housewife, of wife. And I decided to make the mother in the form of duck. And the name of the painting is Time is the Key to Everything. That her sorrow is so big that there is only one key that can open the lock of the sorrow. This is the time. So this key is the time, and this is her new children. They have the same color as the time. This is the future. So still there is one of her son is dead, but still there is a hope for a new life to come. The life circle will begin all over. And this piece is called The Window, and I wanted to finish this 3 series of paintings made in the residency by something very positive. And here, this window is the path for, I just want to believe, I don't know whether it's true or right, I will check after I die, but I want to believe that there is something after the death. The death is not the end. And I wanted to draw this beautiful path that awaits for us after we die. And this painting has a meaning of support of our relatives. For example, this is the relatives, our family. From the woman's side, this is chicken, and this is a lampade. And this is the man's side of our relatives. This is the man chicken. And another lampade in another form. And this is the painting I made when I was in quite sorrow after broken relationships, and it's called The Seagulls Have Cried at Sea. This is the branch, and these seagulls came to sit here, and they become sad, and then they cried and cried and cried, and they made the whole sea. And I was very sad, and I wanted to express my sadness not in the form of something like in some sharp or aggressive forms, but I wanted to make it very tender and to frankly express what I feel now.
The name was The
Seagulls Have Cried at Sea. There's here I see the name, but here I don't. And this is I Make a Wish in Varanasi. I was in Varanasi in India, and every evening they came to the river, to the Ganga, with a lot of boats, and they put a kind of lampades, burn them and put and made a wish. So I liked this procedure so much that I was coming every evening to make this thing.
Kind of sap? Is it like a sap
Yes,
portrait?
yes, a kind of a painted selfie.
You have your
Yes, and this painting is called The Fish Jumps Out of the Water. And in Ukraine, when you see fish jumping out of the water, this is a sign of good luck, like Ukrainians believe. And I was living in Carpathians at the plein air, and when I opened the window in the apartment where I was living, there was a lake, and the fish was jumping out of the water all the time. And I said, oh my God, I will be so lucky from this day. And actually I am, because I'm here. And this painting is one of my favorites. It's called The Chicken Laid Big Eggs. Once the village residents woke up and they saw that the chicken made produced like a really enormously big eggs. And this is the symbol of the good luck and plenty of everything. This is plenty of food, plenty of everything, and they thought, oh, from this day everything will be really very fine in our village. This is another piece very close to it, and it's called the thunderstorm sidestep. Thunderstorm and the storm clouds came to the village, and then they decided to move forward. They don't get into the house. There is sun shining just above the house, and everything is fine. And this is the piece, the central fountain of my life. And I wanted to show that it's a very nice condition when your energy is circulating within your body and is not going anywhere. For example, you don't spend your energy for the unnecessary things, for unnecessary conversations, for things that you can omit, and you only spend for that you really need. And this will produce like a very beautiful results in the end. So this is it. If you have some questions, I can answer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, put the last picture. Like, it's right behind
I can't get really amazing photographs in the dark.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's the screen basically.
Thank you for that.
Oh, good one.
Closed eyes.
you. There's no screen.
So okay, I think that we should make a short tea and pee party.
Yes.
Another
I have a
presentation.
question.
Please, Orhan.
Maybe my English is very bad. Maybe somebody could translate for me.
There's a translator.
I'm afraid that first question, you have many stories
Yeah.
for every type. Önce hikaye yazıp sonra resmi mi yapıyor yoksa resmi yapıyor sonra hikayeyi mi uyguluyor?
You first write the story, or you just made painting, then after then you make up the story.
Actually, firstly I make a painting, like an image comes into my mind, or sometimes words come into my mind. For example, the day before yesterday we went to the market, this beautiful, fantastic market in Izmit, and when we were riding in a car with Tom and Seher, I imagined the words "dead mirror," and after that I had an image, and now today I started this painting. And only after the painting will be ready, the story will come up. So I don't know what it's about, only after I finish it, usually.
Bir dakika, gitmedi. Anladım. Anladım, onun için dedim.
More.
There's
more.
more questions.
He's gonna say
Yani
more.
yazdığı hikayenin daha çok beğeniyor yaptığı resmini.
Do you like the story you made up or the painting? Which one you prefer more?
That's a very hard question, and I think that they go hand in hand. And I would like to make maybe once a book where the stories will be longer and like a fairy tales accompanied by paintings.
That seems like a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very good.
Ha, sana çevireyim.
But don't put your paintings
İkisi aynı
in a
anda
small
beraber
form.
gidiyor diyor.
No, no,
Make
that's
keep your paintings
Yes,
in
yes.
like
They are
this.
all
There's a bit of justice, but I think they're bigger.
İlk soruda da şeydi. Yani
Onu anladım.
anladım. Önce resmi yapıp daha sonra hikayenin geldi. Anything else? Var mı başka? Free translation. No charges.
Yeah, thank you. It's just finished. I just finished it before I went to Helicon. I was striving to finish it. I didn't want to let it. I let it dry actually on my table.
I was reading about a book about the border between Bulgaria, Turkey, and Greece. And between Bulgaria and Turkey, there are these fountains called, I might get this wrong, but it's like chisme. And they're just a fountain without a host. Or it's like an oasis that doesn't have anyone watching. It's always replenishing with water. And I thought about that a lot for a project, so I like to see this cycle, and I also think about the faucet over there that Orhan has always going.
Yes, I like it so much.
Mm-hmm. That's the cycle.
Well, that's what water, we don't see that behavior. Water is constant flowing.
Yes.
It's in constant motion.
It's in constant move, right? But still, I like the idea that the water is not going out. It becomes and it goes into the same fountain, but still the trees that are around this fountain are alive somehow. So they get this water they need from the air, but it doesn't damage the fountain itself.
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong, or I just observed you have different techniques? I mean, not techniques. Your style. You use 3 different styles. Am I wrong?
Probably.
Yes.
Probably
So
yes. Maybe. I don't know. I never thought about that.
her own style. I mean, it's not settled yet. I think, right?
Maybe it's still developing because I'm doing this only for 3 years constantly. So I'm at the very start now.
It's really developed.
This year you've painted more than you painted in your whole life?
Because I quit my job. I decided to be...
3 years ago, huh?
No, a year ago.
A year ago?
A year ago I quit my job and became like a real artist, a little bit hungry. But I have more time to do what I want, and that's why this year is so rich for the paintings and residencies and events, because I have time to do it. Yeah.
It's a massive journey in a year. And we're not even finished the year.
Yes.
It's like such a body of work,
Yes.
2019.
Yes, this is in the middle of the year, or not the middle, but...
In mountain types, mostly you used to snow in your mountains, but except one.
Yeah.
Why? Why not all with the snow? I'm just curious.
Because in some ways I tried to convey Himalayas. I was trekking in Himalayas, so they have the snow peaks. And in some paintings I tried to convey Carpathians, they don't have. So when there is, for example, when I want to depict a mountain that is far away from here, so I use the snow peaks. And when I for sure want to depict Carpathians I don't use.
What do you think you're connecting to with this dead mirror? Do you think it's just your imagination flickering, or are you finding your connection to something deep?
The first connection was when the residency started. Once Orhan came and he presented me a small mirror, and he said, "Oh, that's for you." I took this mirror, I liked it very much, and I started using it every day. And I put this mirror just near me when I was painting. And after that we have several conversations, very deep conversations with Roxolana, mostly about her practice and my practice, and we spoke about that, about the death and about the future and the past, and about the things that are very complicated at the first, and that some things that can be at the first sight that may seem bad, for example the death, that they are the part of life, they are inevitable, and they may be not so bad as they seem. So all of this came together. Like when I see the painting, that's why when I come into the residency I don't know what I'm going to do from the beginning. But then this is like a small threads you are collecting everywhere. And after that, somehow the conscious, maybe during the sleep or I don't know, some kind of reflections or meditations, they produce a result. You know, oh, I have to do this and that.
I think like your symbolisms is like it's ancient. Like this fountain, it's like almost a fountain of youth, or like what they were doing in like Alhambra in Spain. It's like all this kind of old symbol of like an ancient Hindu. I feel like there's a lot of Hindu in there.
Yes,
and I
in
think it's
India.
coming out through you.
It may be because India and Indian culture influenced me a lot. I was 3 times in India. I spent really few months there totally, and I was all over India where I could reach for now. And this culture really, I love their culture. So I don't actually paint anything distinctly Indian, but some elements and symbols may come.
But like the tree, the apple, all these are like very like. Are you really like planning? I think Orhan asked this one. Are you planning, or are you just like opening up the painting process, and it's just these symbols are coming out of you?
Yeah, they are coming out by themselves, like by intuition. So I'm not using this clever and smart part of my brain to produce a painting. I have just to calm down and I have to be happy. That's all I need to start the painting. When I'm nervous or something goes wrong, that I will not be able to create anything. Only I have to be really happy and I have to feel very relaxed. For example, when I came to this residency, the first we put the table, my big table was painting right here where the wood is cut. And then for 2 days I couldn't paint because here a lot of people were sitting and talking and I felt like I was distracted by voices. Even if the voices were in Turkish and I don't understand anything, but still I was distracted. I said that to Orhan and Orhan moved the table to this workshop. And after that I feel, oh yes, this is the place. Here I can be alone and I can concentrate, and the process started. So these kind of things are important. But if nervous or angry, no way. Yeah, sometimes fuck.
So,
Like you say it.
can I ask, you don't have to answer, but how do you describe your social volume?
Social volume?
Yeah.
Social volume for me is the describing and like
Being
reworking.
asocial or what? Really kidding.
I'm trying to answer. Like I'm reworking the things I see and feel. Like I'm here in a very new social environment. I've never been to Turkey like that. Turkey, I'm here. I was in Marmaris and to Antalya, and I know the Turkey from the other side. And here I know that Turkey is completely different. Like all my stereotypes about Turkey went far away from me, really. And I'm in a very new environment, and I wanted to find out what kind of social connections I can find here and how I can show them. For example, the paintings I'm doing here are, the first one is connected to Bayram and to how people behave here with their animals. This painting is, there are the cow and the people looking at the cow trying to make a sacrifice, and they, as Attila explained to me, that the people say to the guard, oh please don't take any of us randomly, but take this cow as a sacrifice. But actually this cow, God doesn't need any cow, and this cow only goes to the birds, which will eat the bones then, and that's it.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
I'll show you tomorrow the photo, the painting itself, and I will explain, you will understand.
1 minute. Alo.
Atilla.
Ya.
Ya
Bizim
Atilla
doktor mu?
Kurbanı anlattı da ben sosyal volümle bağlantısını kuramadım.
Ha yok, o başka bir şey dedi de Atilla ne dedi kurbanla ilgili?
Ya işte Tanrı'ya kurban kesiyoruz. Tanrı bize
Kuşlar mı
dokunmadı.
yiyor dedi, anlamadım.
Tanrı'nın ihtiyacı yok.
Tanrı'nın yani insanlar, Müslümanlar Tanrı'ya kurban kesiyor, Tanrı bize kötülük yapmasın bilmem ne falan, kurbanın tarihçesi yani.
Ha.
Anlattığı şey o.
Ha yok, anladım. Peki, yeah, what about social volume? Orhan is asking.
And I just can answer
Well,
about
how we connection is your paint with social
it's connected in the way that this
You can write the story, I know.
yes, I'm trying to write a story right now for you. They are
That,
connected
there
to
is
social volume. in the-
Don't write for me story. When in,
He loves you,
exhibition
come on, why not?
exhibition time.
He loves you.
When
Yeah?
we posted that picture in the gallery, people look and search is inside is your picture inside is social volume.
Yes, because these pictures come from the social interactions I have here, only from them. That is my social volume. For example, another painting I'm doing here, it's almost ready. It's about the conversation we had also one in the evenings here about the God, and we had quite a big discussion about if there is a God or there is not, or there is after the death, the life after death, or there is not. And there was a lot of different theories, and after this I never had like this conversation in the past, for example, on this topic, and this was really very new kind of social interaction for me, and so this painting was born.
I think you're becoming a mirror. Like you're reflecting the present and what happens here, what constructs the present, and you're kind of putting it back to us, but in a symbolic painting gesture.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe it could be more helpful to think about social volume. There was like three, like a social culture and time, and one more, maybe humanity. I would like look at about the time, context of time to your paintings, maybe social volume around time.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's interesting.
For example, yeah.
Soru değil ama bir açıklama yapayım sen çevir.
Okay, another question, but
Not question.
Not a question, but
what? Ne? Açıklama.
açıklama.
Explanation.
Explanation or
Şey,
comment?
Comment.
Şimdi çağdaş sanatta bu hikaye yazma, yani yapılan işin heykel, resim, enstitüasyon, performans neyse buna sanatçılar güzel hikayeler yazarlar.
So in the contemporary art of Helicon Art Center,
Not Helicon Art Center, all contemporary.
The artists, they create stories for the artifacts, for the products, whatever it is. If it is sculpture or painting, it doesn't matter. They all create stories.
Hatta bazı sanatçılar resimleri yaptıktan sonra başka birilerine hikaye yazıyor.
Even some artists, after they paint it, they make someone or some people to write a story, not themselves, but they just make them so.
Burada önemli olan hikayeyle, yazılan hikayeyle resim arasında ve konu arasında bir ilişkinin olması.
Here, it's important that there should be a connection, a relationship between the story written and the artifact.
Yani izleyici hikayeyle resim arasında, resimle hikaye arasında gidip gelmeli.
So the audience should be
Kopukluk varsa kalite düşük demek.
should be in between the painting and the story. If there is no connection, then there's ne dedin en son? Kalite.
Kalite düşük oluyor.
So there should be the quality should be the quality is low when there is no connection between the story and the painting itself.
Yesterday we talked this subject a bit. There are critics. They can write very well, and they also use different language. At least in our language, I know. I don't know about English art language. Maybe it's different, huh? Also, like ours, Seher.
I didn't understand.
Yani başka dilde farklı.
Ya bizim dilde Türkçe'de sanat eleştirisi yazarken böyle değişik bir dil kullanıyoruz ya, böyle ağır bir dil, kimse anlamasın diye. O da İngilizce'de de aynı mı yoksa?
Onun da kendine has bir dili var bence.
Yani normal vatandaş anlamasın diye bir dili var değil mi?
Anlamasın diye değildir herhalde.
Biz ama onu savunuyoruz işte yani.
Dil değişiyor.
Okay,
galiba.
our concern is Orhan also made a speech last year, right? Last year about this critics use very heavy language, very different language. They choose interesting words.
Sophisticated.
Yeah, very sophisticated. Even I
Terms.
it's hard to understand for me to what the fuck is going on here. But
Yeah.
so I asked Seher, maybe she knows also. This is everywhere the same
Yes.
language they use all over the world.
It's basically what you
Like
study.
an upper sound.
It's about art speak.
So
It's called art.
Art speak.
yeah,
Art
our
speak.
speech. So I add Orhan to something finally in the end. I mean, they can connect anything. Basically, you can make some artifact art, and if you pay money to somebody, they can connect somehow.
Because everything is connected.
Right? Depends on the money sometimes.
True that.
Right?
Yani şöyle şunu da söyleyeyim Olena. Olena Türkiye'de çok iyi resim satar çünkü hikayeleri çok güzel.
He says your paintings will be favorable in Turkey. You may sell many paintings because your stories behind them are very powerful.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. P and T time. TP
Yes,
time.
yes.
Hadi.